One, how's it going, guys? We are live on the internet. My name is Jason Daniel. I've got my Cracker Barrel mug. I've got homemade coffee in it. This is Dunkin' Donuts coffee. I think it's vanilla bean or something like that. It's almost 2 o'clock on the West Coast. The left coast is what we like to call it here. As Schwarzenegger would call it, California. As most conservatives call it, California, and I just call it home. So hope you're having a good one. I'm trying to be more professional, guys. I'm trying to meet the moment, as Gavin Screwsome would say. He went. Remember that was it during the campaign, his last campaign. He was meeting the moment, or when he was burning down California, he was meeting the moment. What else was he doing when he was meeting the moment? Oh, rigging the California elections, meeting the moment. Anyway, that's a thing that Democrats like to say. So so I have an intro. I'm working on my script. Now we're going to talk about some national stuff today. Obviously, if you've read the what do you call it, the headline of today's show, it's about the indictment of Letitia James Tish. Karma's a Tish. That is something she was learning the hard way, but we all knew this was coming. But I digress. So I have an intro for you. So welcome in, everybody. This is called the Jason J. Daniels Show. If you're joining me, afternoon edition. This is an odd time. I normally don't go live this time, but I'm experimenting. I'm trying to catch the audience. I'm trying to meet the moment so you guys can get maximum impact. And I'm also trying to step up my podcast, do a little more so that I can get more content out there for you guys. You're watching, and I really appreciate it, especially those of you on Rumble and YouTube. Wow, it's been crazy. My X views are, the algorithm's a little strange, so it depends on, obviously, what's going on time of day, but I really appreciate you guys on X. It's awesome. There's 3 or 4 ways to watch the show. Also, I'm starting to post the shows on Facebook, just so you know, but I can't go live on Facebook. It's weird. I tried to do that, and they will pull. Sometimes it's just really buggy. Sometimes it'll go live, and sometimes it won't show, and then it will delete the live video after a week or two. So what I have to now do is create a hard file and push it to Facebook, which I'll be starting to do. So look, I want to say to you guys, I'm grateful for you guys coming back over and over. I can see the analytics that you guys are coming back, and I appreciate that. So you clearly like what we're doing here. And but new viewers always welcome here. I'm getting new viewers all the time, so thank you guys for watching. And I want to say thank you to those of you who have followed and subscribed and helping to create a growth pattern for my podcast. It is growing. So thank you. And everything you do helps. A like, a repost, a share. Even if you can't repost my politics stuff, I get it. You can't always do that. But just to save it on your timeline, or like it, or to subscribe, that is really powerful. So thank you, guys. And if you share it, I love that too. I see it when you guys share it. I get notifications, which is so cool. So thank you. So again, if you're new, my name is Jason J. Daniel. I'm a political junkie. I'm a sports junkie. I like true crime. And I decided to start a podcast. I'm the host of this podcast, and I'm on every social media platform you can imagine. And but I do sports on TikTok. So TikTok is my sports outlet. We did some stuff on the Giants last night. You can check that out at Real Jason J. Daniel. I'm a student of politics, man. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to bring you guys up to speed on everything that's going on in the world and with my viewpoint, because I think my viewpoint is unique. We all have a unique viewpoint. Where do I put my coffee? And so this is an outlet for my commentary to give you my thoughts on what's going on in the world. So thank you. So up today, believe it or not, I was going to try to record this like 3 hours ago, but there's all these things going on in my world. But first up today, Karma's a Tish. We're going to talk about Letitia James being indicted, which is super cool. And here's some other things I'm tracking. Here's what I'm tracking today, nationwide. Now, tonight, hopefully I can do a Gavin Newsom show. I got to catch up on him. There's so much crazy shit he's done all week. if you don't keep track of Gavin Newsom, he just does all sorts of stuff under the radar. In fact, one of the things you probably understand is this campaign to attack Trump is distractionary. So he can do all sorts of shitty stuff to California behind the scenes, gather as much money and as much of a war chest and as many connections as he can so he can try to run for president. I don't blame him. If you look at the Democrat landscape right now, it is a mess. Now, it's very early. Obviously, there's so much time. I mean, what, maybe 2 calendar years before there's a real, I guess, election cycle. But Newsom has so much baggage, and he's such an evil creature that he's going to need a couple of years to try to rebuild his image. It's possible. Anything's possible in politics. But anyway, I digress. So karma's a tish. That's the first thing I'm tracking. Another thing I'm tracking is Jimmy Kimmel invited Trump on his show last night or yesterday. You may have, yeah, I think it was yesterday. You might have missed that, but that's interesting. Or maybe the day before. And then the governor's race in Virginia is a big deal since they're all trying to kill people, and these politicians trying to kill conservatives, trying to kill babies, they're trying to kill kids in their mommy's arms. They're trying to kill cops according to what they want. These politicians in Virginia are toxic and they're disgusting. But the whole thing's it's a mess out there. I mean, it's right in the heart of DC, right? Like it's DC's right in the heart of, Virginia, Maryland, right? Boom, right there, Delaware. Like that is that's the swamp, man. And so this is a really interesting swamp creature story. There was a debate last night. I almost live streamed it, and then I saw the results. I kind of wish I had, but I have to live my life. I can't live my life on the internet all day, which it seems like I do. But really interesting debate. There's a couple of highlights I want to talk about. It was a fire debate. The clips are really crazy, and it went more viral than I thought. This is a bigger story than I thought it was going to be. I would have probably, and when I saw the results, it was late in the evening. Then Tish James, so much happened last night, and I was working on projects, so I didn't get a chance to get the podcast out last night, but I want to do it tonight. So I'll give you my thoughts on the debate. Winsome Earl Sears looked really strong. I loved it. She was doing what she should have done, attacking on the violent rhetoric and the threats to kill children over and over, even when it didn't matter. She threw it in there. Great debate. Whoever coached her was insanely good. But the problem is she's not that smart. And so she got so caught up in the back and forth that she made a terrible gaffe on gays and discrimination and gay rights. So wanted to bring that to your attention. I thought they're not making a big deal out of it, which is interesting to me. Very interesting. The mainstream media is not making a big deal out of it. I mean, it's out there. The Democrats on Twitter are, and they have a solid point. So, and I don't know if Winsome Earls is the strongest candidate, but she's all the Republicans got. And we have to work on that as conservatives. We need to find the best candidates so that when they get in these situations, when they're between, 10 points, 5 points down or whatever, that they can hit it hard at the end, and their vulnerabilities or their liabilities don't hurt them, right? So Winsome Earls has some liabilities, and she screwed herself with something she said, but it may not make a difference. It may not, as far as the campaign is concerned, it may not be that big of a deal. But if I was a gay or a lesbian and I heard what she said, I would be concerned. And also, as far as just civil rights were concerned, or right discrimination, workplace rights, she said something that bothered me. Okay, and I'm very socially liberal, right? So, or I'm open-minded, right? I'm open-minded, and I understand people make mistakes, but like that, she said something that she should not have said that would come back to haunt her if she does even win. Right. So we'll talk about that. So thanks for watching again, guys. The Jason J. Daniels Show. Let's go back to Karma's a Tish. So first of all, I got to do a sound check. You know how I am about my sound checks. Let me jump on. I usually do X is streaming, my live streams. X is streaming live. So it's usually the best place to let's see here. Pin it. I have to pin it, and then let's listen to it. Wow, it sounds really good. I bought a new mic, so because I love you guys, and I was starting to, I listen to my podcast a lot because I want to, how am I saying things, and how are things coming across? That's really important for me, and I was my mic I had before was very inconsistent, so I had to let me get the mic everybody gets. So hopefully the audio is better for you guys. Like, because I've listened to it in the car and I listen to my audio, and I'm very sensitive to it, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to like, I want it to sound pleasant. I don't want it to be like so unbalanced that it's hard to listen to. So anyway, um, so that's what's going on today. Let's talk about that. The about not my mic. We'll talk about Tish. So we're gonna show you some things here. Let's go to the indictment. Now you're not shocked by this news, and we're not shocked, right? We knew this was going to be a thing that we were going to be, we were going to be blessed with. I'm considering this a blessing. You might not, but I think this is so cool because there's a lot of reasons why this is great. One, it balances the scales, and it's really important in politics to balance the scales. And this might be kind of like a lofty thought process, but it is important when a new administration comes in to any large government job that they clean house and then they start to set the tone for a different change of pace, because that's important for America and for states. That's just important for a healthy organization. You can't do the same thing all the time. And politicians are humans. They love the power. They're drunk on the power. They get really wrapped up in it. So that's why politics is such a different situation, where you have people that are just, they become swamp creatures. They make all this money. They get locked in. It's easy. They're treated like kings and queens. They never want to let it go. But it's really important that our government turn over. And yes, turn over for different parties, and so that we have different varieties, a variety of of governance and leadership. Now, of course, I'd love conservatives to have all three houses like they do, because I am a conservative and I've seen what the Democrats have done. But the truth is, you're not always going to have that. And the Democrats knew that when they had Biden. They knew they got lucky. I personally don't believe that that was a straight up election anymore. From all the things I've seen, we won't get into that because that's not my point. And some of you might be like, totally with me on that, and some of you might be thinking that's like conspiracy theory. I just know that everything we've looked at, it's too hard to look at everything that the Biden people did and the media did, and Hillary and everybody, what they did to sway the election, the laptop hidden, all that stuff, the lies about Biden's health. There's no way. The votes, the counting was weird everywhere. We know that there were a lot of problems, right? So it's hard to look, for me, it's hard to look back on 2020 and not say there's an asterisk. That's how I feel, especially when the next election 4 years later, there's 20 million votes they can't find that the Democrats had in 2020. That's factual. Just the facts, no judgment. That's my tagline. No judgment, just showing you the facts. You can look that up. That is a fact. So let's get past that. But anyway, so we knew that when Trump came in, it was going to be vengeance time. We knew he was going to take vengeance on these people that tried to destroy his life and raided his house and raided his wife's underwear drawer, whatever they did, and turned their life upside down, and subpoenaed his kids more than anyone's ever been subpoenaed, and tried to put him in jail aggressively. The porn star thing, his lifestyle as a celebrity, they did everything they could to make anybody that tried to bring Trump down, they wanted to make them like a super uber celebrity. Where am I going with this? So it was very tempting. I think during that time, there's a lot of dumb people in high office. Let's just look. There's a lot of dummies running, these kind of organizations. We saw a lot of dummies in the FBI. Obviously, in New York, the Attorney General's office is just corrupt as hell. We know it. So there are dumb people that want to be famous. They want to be celebrities. And so Alvin Bragg, Tisha James, and a number of them, Comey, of course, they wanted to take on Trump, because if you take on Trump and you're in a headline with Trump, you're famous. Think about that. If Trump retweets you, you can be famous. You can get things like your life can be changed. That's how powerful the Trump brand is. So if you take him on as a politician, with the way the media will make you a darling, boom, you can be elevated. So it was tempting for a lot of people to do that. So I got my Cracker Barrel mug. Got to take a drink. Darn it, I forgot my water. So we'll have to be careful there, because I talk a lot, right? So it was very tempting for a lot of these people who were nobodies and wanting to be somebody. It's all about the game, right? Everybody wants to be somebody in this political game. And it's so easy overnight to make a lot of money and be a celebrity with the way that the internet and social media is so ingrained in our society, especially now in politics. And a lot of it has to do with Trump using social media to really leverage his message. So, anyway, so Tish James, Alvin Bragg, and these idiots decided to try to put Trump in jail forever, and then the Atlanta thing, and everybody goes after Trump. So it was a cabal, a conspiracy. Clearly, no judgment, just facts, Democrats. Like, if for you guys to say it wasn't a conspiracy against Trump, that's just nuts. In fact, even the media is now saying, "Oh yeah, you got us. We tried, it didn't work." So you threw it everything you could at him. The radical machine got some lunatic to try to kill Trump. Then there was another lunatic. The second guy that tried to kill Trump that just got 8 years or whatever, very connected to the Democrats, guys. Very connected. Pictures with Democrats. I mean, it's crazy how much that's even a whole nother subject. I'd love to spend time on that, where we don't know anything about the people trying to kill Trump because the deep state's trying. Clearly, there's a deep state connection with these people. And the Crooks guy, no, they cremated him in like 24 hours and they burned his cell phones. No one even knows about that, right? So there is a lot of truth to the fact that we don't know all the facts with these guys. So we had that go on. We had them trying to put Trump in jail, scandalize him, make him the devil, all these things. He wins by a landslide. And a lot of it had to do with the fact, and yes, it was a technical landslide because the Democrats just put together the worst team in the world to take down Trump, right? So you had Biden, so Trump basically beat two people, if you look at it. Sorry, I have to just side note. I had some plastic surgery earlier this week. I know. And so there's a little bit of you'll see that there. There's some stitches. So I wasn't in a fight and I had to trim my beard a little. So it's a little swollen. So sorry about that, guys, but it's all good. Just a little cosmetic. Hey, we all want our face to look dope for the internet. So, so, um, it was clearly, there was clearly opportunities for people who wanted to be famous to get in on this, right, and attack Trump and try to put him in jail. It didn't work. So now Trump is going to extract vengeance, his pound of flesh. And the problem is the people that he's going after have liabilities. Letitia James brought this on herself. Now, is Trump taking it too far? That's for you to decide. Is this good for America? That's for you to decide. Is this the way it fucking is? That's the way it goes. All right. I'm sure there are plenty of times that Trump sat down with his people and they complained how unfair it was. All Trump did was complain about how unfair it was. So that didn't make a difference. Like they put it through. We're not even talking about that lunatic judge that gave him an incredibly stupid sentence, and all the things that they did to him was a complete Democrat cabal. I knew that. You knew that. They knew that. We all knew that. Everybody knew that. And even after that, all that went down, even after all the time and the money and the millions of dollars spent, Trump got everything basically thrown out. And sure, some of that was because he became the president. It was pointless. There was a point where you have executive powers. No one's going to put the president in jail for some silly accounting thing. And they took misdemeanors and turned them into felonies. So you know the story. You're either, no one's in the middle on this. You're either believing it as I'm saying it, which is the fact, or you're in a fantasy world telling yourself that Trump should have gone to jail and all these things. There was no election interference. That's bullshit. There was possible accounting errors, whatever. And the porn star check, whatever. I don't know what you guys want from that. Like, I don't understand what the point of that is, because every other president that we've had has had so much stuff in their lives that you could have done anything to any of them and indicted them for something, right? Everyone, even George W. Bush, there was a certain point where people were calling him a war criminal because of all the innocent people being killed in the Middle East because of his wars. So everybody's got a thing, right? And at that level, you can go through anybody's life and they've lived a life, and Trump is a celebrity. And I might be just beating a dead horse here, but I don't think it's a big deal personally that he had porn star affairs. I don't think it was a big deal. I don't care about a personal life of a candidate unless their personal life is actively criminalizing things and hurting people, and it is actually affecting the office. Now, you might say Epstein files, blah, blah, blah. That's an interesting question. Why that's still a thing, I don't know what to tell you, but let's just focus on this. So that's a whole rough history of how we got here, right? And if you don't know how we got here, then welcome to the party. This isn't about to get really interesting. So a couple of things keep in mind. I wanted to read the indictment with you because, it's online, so let's look at it. And we also have to keep in mind a grand jury, okay, indicted her. It wasn't the DOJ just deciding to, throw charges down. It has to go through a grand jury process. A grand jury found that there's evidence or potential evidence for an indictment. Now, keep in mind, grand juries are run very differently. A lot of evidence is added in that would not be added in a court of law. The threshold of evidence is very different. They can do a lot of things in a grand jury. It's secret. That's an interesting process, right? So there's a whole nother. So a lot of people say grand jury is flawed. You can get an indictment in any grand jury. Sure, that's possible. I know someone that's been on a grand jury in the past, and that person told me, yeah, it's kind of like a kangaroo court. It's really not that hard to get an indictment if you're really pushing on it, because you can control a grand jury. Bill Clinton, that's how they got their indictments against him, grand jury. That's how it goes. Okay, so, and she's a big fish. So Karma's a Tish. She knew it was coming, and this is a mortgage fraud situation. So let's look at the indictment. That's your run up. Let's look at the indictment right now, because I know you were wondering what I thought, and those are my initial thoughts. Let's see here. Okay, so she's being indicted for a bank fraud. That's huge. This is a criminal indictment. Just her all by herself. The United States. I mean, really? And back to what I was saying earlier, these people wanted to be famous. I'm sure I just touched my ear like I had my ear thing in. I'm sure there was probably 10 people that the Democrats came to and said, "Let's get Trump, man. We got him. We did it. We could do this." And only a couple of dummies said, "That sounds like a good idea," because a smart person would know you're going to take on the most powerful guy right now in politics. At that time was Trump. Trump's never not been powerful. I mean, look, he ran in 3 elections. A lot of people think he won 3. A lot of people, or at least it was a tie or a push, right? Let's just look at it in sports, right? Cowboys just had a tie. So look at it that way. So Trump is way ahead of the Democrats on winning elections. A lot of the people, we forget over the years, Trump's been in politics for 11, 13 years now, whatever. Over the years, a lifetime for some people. Over the years, Trump has endorsed so many people that have gotten elected. And Trump worked on building his own network of strong supporters and backers. Trump knows how to play the game smarter than these people. So he was moving the chess game over here by preparing for this, so that when it was time to get revenge on these fuckers, he could do it. Look, I call it revenge. I'm not taking away from the fact that she broke the law, but a lot of people do this. Apparently, we're learning a lot of the politicians do this, and that's why it was a spot it's a weak spot. A lot of people in these positions do this mortgage fraud thing to get really great deals, and you probably I know people that know mortgage and real estate better than me, and I'll bring them on the show. And we've already had Christine Bish, who's amazing, and she's an expert in this. And it takes some forensic work, but you can find out which politicians are doing this. As I've been looking into it, I've been stunned at how many actually engage in this. It's crazy. It's wild. So count 1, bank fraud. Okay. Nobody wants that. Count 2, false statements to a financial institution. That's crazy. All right. So you got a lot of counts here. Okay. Here's the indictment. A grand jury in Virginia, it's interesting. Grand jury charges allegations. Letitia James was a resident of Brooklyn, New York, and a borrower on a Fannie Mae backed mortgage loan for the property located at blah, blah, blah. Okay. OVM Financial. Now, again, I'm not going to read the whole thing. We're going to skim through it. I want to get the juxt of it, and then we'll look at what media is saying. OVM Financial, Old Virginia Mortgage, Annie Mac, was a mortgage lending business in Virginia. Bing. Okay. There's the Fannie. Okay. Fannie Mae Federal. Okay. They're laying it out. Who's who. And then there's, okay, so here we go. On or about August 17th, 2020, right? Interesting. When all the Trump stuff was going down after the election or before the election, it's interesting how a lot of these swamp creatures started making stock moves and real estate moves. A lot of these dates are interesting because it indicated to me they were feeling very comfortable to do these things, knowing that possibly Biden was going to possibly have an advantage. Interesting, right? That's just, again, this is just the facts, guys. No judgment. So she's a sole borrower, purchased the 3-bedroom bathroom property. Here's the amount. Not expensive. That's for a 3-bedroom house. You couldn't do that in California. It'd be $550 in California. That's a great deal. So finance with a mortgage loan of $109,006, backed by Fannie Mae. Loan was originated. Loan was originated by OVM Financial. Blah blah blah. There's more details. Despite these here's the representations. Despite these representations, the parent on property was not occupied or used by James as a secondary residence, and it was instead used as a rental investment property, renting the property to a family of 3. That's not legal. You can't do that. If you are buying a home, you get a sweet deal if you're going to live in it. And there's rules on that. You probably know this. But if you're not living in the home, your interest rate's different. It's a different application. It's more expensive because you're going to use it as a rental property. If you buy a home and you move into it for a period of time, then you can make it a rental property, right? And you don't have those rules hit you. Now, again, people watching this are smarter at that than I am. So let me know if I'm missing something. Send me DMs and I'll correct it. But we all know that you can't do that if you know how mortgages work. So there was clearly somebody right away from the jump, boom, renting it. This misrepresentation allowed James to obtain favorable loan terms not available for investment properties, like I just said, including a note rate of 3%, 3.000%, avoiding a 0.815 higher comparable investment property rate at 3. Okay, so what does that mean? It resulting in approximately $17,837 in rate savings over the life of the loan. That's pretty significant. Okay, a seller credit of approximately $3,288, right? And then another, then exceeding the credit for investment property, so she made more on that, for total ill-gotten gains of approximately a little under 19 grand over the life of the loan. Okay, so they're saying she set herself up a sweetheart deal by lying and falsifying her application. So she said, so here's how they got her. The universal property application for homeowners insurance indicates owner-occupied non-seasonal use, further misrepresenting the intended use of the property. So she was essentially saying, hey, it's a vacation home or whatever, right? Non-seasonal, right? That's a vacation home. And that indicates you might be renting it. It's an investment property because you're not going to be in it all the time. And she got insurance for that. So that's also insurance fraud. Now, that's different. That's the smaller thing, right? They're getting her on the mortgage fraud, which is the bigger thing. The insurance fraud, that's just part of how that goes. James filed a Schedule E tax form under penalties of perjury. Okay. So she also filed tax forms saying that the property, treating the parent on property as rental real estate, reporting fair rental days, 0 personal use days. Okay. So she filed a tax return saying the same thing, which is false. Okay, so there's the count. So we can get into the counts, but there's that's the juxt of it. So Letitia James, she's got a paper trail, and then clearly there was a family living there. They could figure that out. They probably brought them into the grand jury, and the grand jury looked at it and they're like, this is easy math. There's no complication here. There's no making the charges greater. There's no dragging and subpoenaing and, accountants and threatening to put everybody in jail. Now, maybe they did. I don't know, but we'll find that out. Now, the trial, if there is a trial, that will come out. Um, Something tells me that I just feel like she's going to take a deal. I just don't think she could survive a trial. It seems pretty much cut and dry to me. Doesn't it seem like that to you? If it doesn't seem cut and dry to you, then you're part of the system. You're believing a lie because you or I could not do that. And this is why I think this is a great thing, because I'm a populist. If you haven't learned that about me, you should know that. And when I see people get away with stuff because they have money and power that we can't get away with, that makes me upset. That aggravates me as a citizen because I've lived a little and I've worked very hard in my life, just like you. And if you're younger, you're figuring it out, right? If you're watching this, you're an educated person that cares about things. Because I'm just a dude talking about politics, so you clearly know what you're doing, and you're trying to put life together and build. You're just trying to build a foundation, and education, knowledge does that, and that's why we're in an age of education. We're in an age of communication, right? That's why we podcasts or everything. That's why I'm doing it, because that's important right now in the world. But I just get very, very upset when I see people like this get over and do the things that you and I would do, right? But we are held accountable to a different standard than they are. For example, you and I can do what she did. We can go in and get a loan for a second home. And we have the same applications, the same tax returns, the same insurance requirement, right? Her home, $137,000. That's not an expensive home compared to anywhere else, right? So she didn't need the kickback. Like if you're buying a $500,000 home, $700,000 home, $1 million home in California, I can see how that's a more of attractive kickback. Plus, that would stand out more, right? She didn't need to do that. She didn't need to steal $20,000, and that's what they're saying. Through fraudulent means, she got a $20,000 cut. She basically made $20,000 and saved $20,000. So it's kind of like a $40,000. You can look at it as a double dipping. So it's like a $40,000 crime, right? So that's a felony. So when you look at the paperwork and you look at the indictment and you look at the truth, the only thing that would show me that she didn't commit a felony is if the people living there were lying and the evidence is falsified and the documents are falsified, but they're not. It makes no sense that falsified documents would get to a grand jury and get to here because they'd be so heavily scrutinized. Now, so there's that. So it looks like it's going to be tough for her to walk away from this. Now I'm seeing people say that she will. We'll see. Now let's look at what people are saying online, because I think it's interesting. Let's go to X and we'll just go X has a lot of good info. We can go down. So X aggregates it. If you don't use X often, what happens is X will aggregate what's going on for you. According to the AI of X or Twitter will aggregate all of the stories they think you're interested in and give us all of these headlines. So here's the info here. Now here's what it's looking like. Now, according to Grok, prosecutors allege she falsely claimed the property as her principal residence. I forgot to mention that. So she wasn't living it. She was not living in it, and she said she was supposed to be. So maybe I didn't make that clear, but that's part of the fraud too. She should have been living in it, which she wasn't. Okay, shout out to the people in it. It's saying here that and also there's more details saying that her father was on, her husband. There was like different names. Like there's more complications with the names. I guess we didn't go down that farther down, but you get the point. You can dig into it yourself. So she's possibly facing up to 30 years in prison and $1 million in fines if convicted. Obviously, she's saying it's politically motivated. Okay. Well, of course it is. Of course it is. She put herself out there and she tried to destroy the most powerful man in the world. Who's more powerful than Donald Trump? Think about that. Really, who is more powerful than Donald Trump? Nobody. I mean, look what happened to Jimmy Kimmel. Now they made a deal and he came back, but I mean, that was because of Trump and the conservatives and Charlie Kirk and the conservative wave. I mean, who's more powerful, right? So when you go after a king, they say you have to take the king out, or the king's going to come back and go Game of Thrones on you. So I understand you all think knowledge is power. If you were trying to put Trump in jail over and over, you're like, well, the more we learn, the more he's a scoundrel. Yeah, but just like in Game of Thrones, knowledge may be power, but power is power. You have to understand that. It doesn't matter what you know, it's what you can do. And Trump and the boys have the power. So there's a lot of stuff here. We'll just go to the stuff I think is the most interesting. Now here's CNN talking about mortgage fraud,
aside for the
saying that everybody commits it, which is true, I suppose, right? Because I just said that. But just because everybody commits it doesn't mean they need to.
For a second, what Tish James, and again, we're still getting the details, but if it's related to this mortgage issue, I mean, this is something.
First of all, CNN. So they show a picture of her looking really good. She does not normally look happy when I see Tishy James. She always looks like dour and like she looks scared all the time. There's a video she cut. Well, just like Comey, they cut their videos. Look, this is the way we do it now in politics. It's what's online, what's on your phone drives the message. So if you're old school, it may be driving you crazy that your politics are in your phone, but it is what it is. So back to what they're saying here. So CNN says, we haven't seen it. If it's related to mortgage fraud, of course it is. Of course it is. It's misinformation. They love misinformation. And there are low IQ people that will be deceived by these little seeds of deception. So you have to listen to now I don't watch this shit except when I'm trying to get, information on some of these clips, but I don't watch these people because they're liars. They know exactly what they're saying. Here we go.
That everyone in America, or many people at least, if you're lucky enough to be able to buy a house in America.
Oh, wow. Yeah, this is how they do it. You're all just so poor and broke in America because of Trump. Because even though he did the tariffs and they're making money, and Biden put the inflation rate to 12% and Trump brought it down to 3%. You're so broke if you're so lucky. Everybody does it.
You deal with this, right? The federal government doesn't go after all of these people.
She just sounds so dumb, right? She's wanting this person to agree with this too. Of course they go after people. Of course they go after mortgage fraud all the time. That's a big. It happens a lot
for doing this. Does that aside for a second? What Tish James, and again, we're still getting the details, but
we're still getting the details, even though it's an indictment that's 10 pages, and we've had it, and our lawyers are reviewing it. And you notice how they want to call her Tish. Tish just sounds more. It sounds more vulnerable. Oh, it's like little baby Tish. Oh, she's getting attacked, even though she's trying to make millions of dollars by frauding the government and frauding taxpayers.
But if it's related to this mortgage issue, I mean, this is something that everyone in America, or many people at least, if you're lucky enough.
How many times, right, are they going to give us this message?
To be able to buy a house in America, you deal with this, right? The federal government doesn't go after all of these people for.
Yes, they do. Okay, so there's that. Obviously, CNN just does not believe that. Well, first of all, they understand it's real. They just don't believe that she should be held accountable for it, right? Because they're saying, well, everybody does it. Well, I don't do it. I mean, do you do it? I mean, I think that's just bullshit. First of all, if everybody does it, doesn't make it right. And that's just the equation of the liberals. I'm sorry. I mean, the evidence is out there. Everybody, it's like back to the both sides hoax. Both sides do violent rhetoric, which they don't. So they want to say, well, we can kill Charlie Kirk because both sides do it. I don't understand that at all. Okay, so let's go back to yes. Okay, so let's go back to X again. Here's baby Tish. Okay, she does not look happy. She's standing at her office, which she should not be in her office, right? So let's go to your office, do your thing. She's looking off to the side, get ready, let's go. Because this is a personal crime she did in her personal life. You notice the indictment was against her personally, not against her office or against her staff. So she's now again, this is abuse of power. In my opinion, you do this press conference at your house, you don't do it like Comey. At least Comey didn't have an office to do it that had flags behind him. You don't go to the AG's office in New York and do your political press conference on your indictment there. You don't, because this is a personal crime. But she wants to deceive you. She wants to do this setup to make you think that Trump's coming after New York politics. He's not. He's coming after this person that clearly created her. She created her own mess here.
This is nothing more than a continuation of the president's desperate weaponization of our justice system.
Look at those blinking eyes. She doesn't believe what she's saying.
He is forcing federal law enforcement agencies.
Look at this. Now that you have a little graphic there for you so you can read it. He's forcing federal law enforcement agencies to do his bidding. Okay, you filled out the applications, dude.
To do his bidding. All because I did my job as the New York State Attorney General.
No, you didn't.
These charges are baseless.
No, they're not.
And the president's own public statements make clear that his only goal is political retribution.
Now, she has a point there. Because Trump, now when it comes to, and I think this is interesting, Trump is a president who would just say anything, right? And he also will talk about, legal cases. In the past, presidents would not chime in. Like with the Charlie Kirk thing, he's like, I hope the guy gets the death penalty. We all agree with that. So who doesn't? And if you don't, you're a lunatic. So, but normally that would be like, oh, wait, hey, that could affect the trial. It's such a big deal. It's not going to affect it. That is why that's going to be her. She's laying her defense out. And obviously it's a public thing too. She's laying the defense out to the public. Plus, if you do go to trial, she wants to talk about this all day long. And she wants the entire world to see her statements because it makes it tough to get a jury that's not prejudicial, right? It's tough to get an unbiased jury of people that don't know what's going on, especially with this. So this is so out in the open. That's her strategy. Is she needs to try to make it seem like she's just being attacked and Trump's cronies are trying to destroy me because I did my job. And she has not once mentioned these charges are false.
At any cost. The president's actions are a grave violation of our constitutional order and have drawn sharp criticism from members of both parties.
Both parties. Oh my God, she's so angry.
His decision to fire a United States attorney who refused.
Look at her eyes. Now she's reading the teleprompter, right? This is a prepared statement by her handlers. She didn't write this. She is in a situation where she needs to now double down. She's screwed. And this is what happens when you play these games. You play fuck around games and you're going to fucking find out. She was offered this as we're going to get rich and famous, man. There's always a dumb person that will go out front thinking, okay, if this goes bad, I'm protected. You're not protected when it's stuff that you did that they're digging up. There's too much evidence
to bring charges against me. And
look, see, she's reading a prompter.
Replace them with someone who is blindly loyal not to the law, but to the president.
Okay.
Is antithetical to the bedrock principles of our country.
It's about mortgage fraud. She filled out an application and she lied on the application for $137,000 home. Pretty chintzy, right? She's chiseling here. All right. So she's trying to count the pennies, right? Because apparently coming after Trump doesn't make you a millionaire like she thought. Right? So she's trying to juggle her homes and live a lifestyle, drive the $100,000 car, do all these things, have assistants, do it, basically not work all day. And now, because she lied on her application, this is affecting, and she's being held accountable like you or I would be, right? We're populists here. She does not want to be held accountable to the same rules you and I are. But because she now is, it is shaking the bedrock of our Constitution.
This is the time for leaders.
Okay.
On both sides of the aisle.
On both sides.
To speak out against this blatant.
Speak out against my blatant what? Your blatant what?
Perversion of our system of justice. I stand strongly behind my office's litigation.
Well, I know I stand strongly behind my office's litigation. So she really, now she's looking at you because the one thing she's deceived herself into believing is that what she did to Trump was righteous. Now, I will say this. When you're in a cult like this, the Democrat Party in New York is a cult, okay? They have gone, that's a whole nother story, but New York's crazy. The political reaction to this is cult-like in New York. They're so wrapped up in this cult of destroying Trump because he's from New York and his name's on all the buildings he built, part of New York, all these things, crazy. They're so obsessed, these politicians are so obsessed that they're pushing people into communism. Now they're looking at putting a socialist, because see, the last Democrat mayor didn't work out because he's a disaster. He was so bad, he had to leave the party, and now he's leaving politics, and he almost went to jail because of what he was doing with his dirty dealings, and Trump helped him. Because Trump helped the last guy who was supposed to fight Trump, they like, okay, Democrats not working, like traditional old school Democrats like Eric Adams, that's not working. Let's get a socialist. So this is the syndrome in New York. Is they're so wrapped up in trying to get rich and trying to get famous and trying to destroy Trump that they push themselves out of being, traditionally liberal to communism and to fascism. This is fascist activity. Now, I'm not saying that to do the dog whistle like they do, but the fascism is where we do what we want to do in this state and city, and we will go to any political party to do it because we want to control your thinking. That's fascism. They want to control. And so in New York, if you don't buy into the communist agenda, you're ostracized in business unless you're very, very independently wealthy and they can't move you. And that's basically how Trump rose. He's the only guy that can come out of there and not be bought and paid for. She's clearly bought and paid for.
Against the Trump organization.
We're against the Trump, right? She's been this is a 2-minute statement. We're at 1:15. Where's the mortgage fraud? Where are you saying I'm not guilty?
We conducted a 2-year investigation.
That didn't work out. That's your problem.
Based on the facts and evidence, not politics.
Why is she talking like a preacher now? Did you notice the cadence changed? Let's go back.
As the New York State Attorney General.
As the Attorney General, I'm baby Tish. I'm being persecuted.
These charges are baseless.
She did say they're baseless charges. I missed that. Sorry.
And the president's own public
she said it once.
Statements make clear that his only goal is political retribution.
Now let's jump to preaching.
Judges have upheld the trial court's finding that Donald Trump, his company, and his 2 sons.
His 2 sons are evil.
Liable for fraud. I'm a proud woman of faith.
Oh, see? So she started getting preachy, and then we go to, I'm a proud woman of faith.
And I know that faith and fear cannot share the same.
Jesus is going to help me. I have faith. I have faith that my mortgage can be $20,000 cheaper because I lie.
Same space.
Oh, my God.
And so today, I'm not fearful.
I'm not fearful because Jesus is going to deliver me from mortgage fraud charges and the Trumpsters.
I'm fearless.
Oh, I'm fearless because I tried to put Trump in jail for 1,000 years and it didn't fucking work. You should not be fearless. You're dumb.
And as my faith teaches me.
That's my faith. You like that when people lie about anything, they go blinky, right? When they're completely enraged and brainwashed, they give you the unblinked eye, right? She's just not believing a word she's saying.
No weapon formed against me shall prosper.
Oh, man. They love to go Jesus. They love to quote scripture. No weapon formed against me shall prosper, baby.
We will fight these baseless charges aggressively. And my office will continue to fiercely protect New Yorkers and their rights.
Oh, my God.
And I will continue to do my job.
Oh, thank you, Jesus. Did you just feel like you got delivered? I got... Oh my God. Look, I'm not making fun of Jesus. I'm not making fun of faith. I'm a person that's spiritual. I'm just making fun of the bullshit. Let's see if there's anything else here interesting. We saw this clip. A lot of this stuff's being okay, here's something super awesome is being regurgitated all over. She wrote this, okay, in 24. Okay, this looks like her, right? Tishy, this is what she wrote. She wrote, thanks for watching, guys. She wrote, when powerful people cheat to get better loans, it comes at the expense of hardworking people. Everyday Americans cannot lie to a bank to get a mortgage. And if they did, Our government would throw the book at them. There simply cannot be different rules for different people. Okay, so she's a hypocrite. I mean, what are you going to do? So, look, I almost went an hour on this, and if you're joining me late, I had some plastic surgery. Looks that's not a Katie Porter herpy. that is stitches. I did not get attacked for my political views, though. That would be an interesting story. I'm not. That's not me. I don't get out in the community and give people a chance to get at me like that. But anyway, so if you're joining me late, I back the show up. I talk about that. So. Okay, so we'll jump. That was fun. Let's jump into a couple of things really quick to wrap it. So, well, okay, so to I guess tighten a bow on this. She's in a lot of trouble. There's going to be a lot of backroom dealings. It's going to be hard for these charges to be dropped unless they make some sort of a deal. And probably the deal that they want is she'll have to resign, right? Apologize and take like some like I think the only way she could get out of this is she quits her job, she takes the disgrace. She's going to have this on her record. It's a disgrace whether she gets out of the charges or not. She's not getting out of the charges. She doesn't want to go to a jury because no one wants that deposition, right? That's part of this thing is like you get them indicted, then you can put them in front of a jury, and then you can just turn their life upside down with lawfare. And they have to. This is already expensive for her, right? And she thinks people are going to help her through. I have my faith in our office. They're not helping. Like if she starts really going down, everybody bails on you. Clearly, whoever was trying to protect her got fired. She didn't think that through. Remember, she did this in 2020 before Biden won, which is interesting. Before the election of 2020, she did this. A lot of Democrats did a lot of these financial dealings thinking Biden's winning. We're in the clear. We're cool. Well, it's interesting. Somehow they felt comfortable that he was going to win. He did. And you're seeing all this shit pop up. So she doesn't have, now Comey's a different story. A lot of people say Comey's it's going to get thrown out. He's too powerful, all these things. Not the same thing with her. It's not the same thing. She is a smaller fish in a huge pond. And what she did was pointless. And I think that's also the issue. She didn't have to try to steal 20 grand on a loan. Comey's thing was lying, perjury. That's different. That's more conversational. That's more backroom dealing. That's more subjective, not objective. This is objective documentation where she lied on it. This is different. And that's why CNN's like, up. Everybody does it. That's essentially saying, well, she's guilty. Everybody does it. Why not everybody's prosecuted? So I guess, does that mean everybody should just do it? You and I should do it? Go out and do that? No. The reason why we don't do it is because they will throw the book at us. Like Tish James said in her tweet, they throw the book at everybody. No one's above the law, blah, blah, blah. And that's what you're going to see. No one's above the law. And plus, Letitia James is annoying. There's another thing why conservatives are happy about this. She's fucking annoying. And the Trump stuff that they did was fucking annoying. And it made us look stupid as a country. It made us look weak. And when you guys don't, I guess you guys, I shouldn't say you guys because people watching understand this. You guys are really, but I'll just say Democrats, you get really caught up in this. Everybody in the world thinks like us. And that is a real concern for Democrats. And that's why they're losing Americans, because the rest of the world does not think like us. Putin and those people do not think like us. They have mistresses. They kill their enemies. They prosecute. They don't think like Americans, right? All these other Middle Eastern countries, in most cases, they don't have democracies and think like us. So when Letitia James and all these idiots go, oh, he wrote a check to a porn star. Let's get him. Let's get him. Come on, man. I mean, Trump is, I'm not saying that he should do these things, but what I'm saying is we need our leader of the free world to not fall downstairs and be senile and look like an idiot. We need a strong leader, because if you haven't seen the rest of this world, they have really mean, nasty people running these places, except the UK, they're idiots. But all of these other third world countries, or these countries that have nuclear bombs, they don't fucking care. They don't care about, I mean, we just have too many people in the Democrat Party that just believe that it's all about what they can get in the United States, what they the message they can send. That's not a message the rest of the world cares about. So it made us weaker. Putin and those people looked at our process and said, you just try to put Trump in jail and he beat you. It made us weaker as a country. But then when Trump won, it made us stronger because the rest of the world was like, wow, even Trump beat that. And that's hard to beat. When the government comes after you, it's very hard to beat, especially when Trump is a guy who didn't take a deal and made it worse by attacking back. But that's a style, right? So Trump is at a level of world power now because of that the Democrats did not see coming. But I need you guys to understand that are Democrats, you got to think bigger. The world is much bigger than California. It's much bigger than a certain small segment of the population that wants to, make men's and women's bathrooms the same. Like we're just caught up in these little things that the world does not worry about. And that's why Trump and the conservative party are really working against all this wokeness that has made us a weaker country. You may disagree with that, but I've lived a little to know that we were stronger, then we got fucking weaker, and it was a very scary time with the Biden people, and they were doing all sorts of crazy shit, and everybody got stronger around us, and China was getting stronger, and then Russia decides to, a lot of shit went down. Obviously the stuff that happened to the Israelis with the Hamas thing, a lot of shit went down with Biden. This shit's not going down with Trump, and he's solving problems. So I guess I'm just ranting, but the Democrats need to understand this is better for everyone to not have a weak president. It's better to not have to indict your presidents and indict your most powerful leaders or try to kill them when they're the only thing keeping us safe from Russia and China. You don't think Russia and China would love to just do a Red Dawn and take us over? You're kidding me, right? You think, I guess I'm just being an old guy. But you think China is wanting us to succeed? You think if we didn't have a personal, let's say there was a national disaster. Let's say we had an earthquake and it destroyed our government and it just some kind of massive earthquake or something, right? I'm just saying. And our government fell apart and our military, maybe some sort of a plague, right? Okay. But Russia was cool. You think they'd help us? They'd come in and take over, man. That's how it used to be. There's some very fierce, nasty people running these countries. Putin's trying to take over the Ukraine because he thought they were weak. You don't think China would try to take us over? Come on, man. So when you're somebody like Trump, when you're dealing with these world powers and you have somebody like little Letitia James trying to get famous off you because she's not that smart, she really isn't, and she listens to these Democrat lunatic handlers and says yes to this, everybody gets hurt. Everybody loses in this. And thank God it worked out because the alternative was a weak Democrat president. That's the alternative. And we had weak Biden, weak Harris. Harris is writing a book just destroying everybody. That's what Democrats do. They destroy everybody in their party. So my point is they made Trump stronger, but Democrats have to understand that the rest of the world does not play by these silly rules we've created for ourselves here. Now, I'm not saying we should mistreat ourselves and not have rules for, civilized society rules. I believe in those things. I'm a very staunch, I'm a live and let live. I think we have too many rules in a lot of ways, but we have to have civil rules and order. I agree with that. I agree everyone should be held to the same standard. So Letitia James needs to be held to the same standard that you and I would be held to. So there you go. Okay. So I'm just rambling. Something interesting. Jimmy Kimmel. Is another thing I want to talk about. Jimmy Kimmel had an interview where he went on Bloomberg and basically told the story of what he was going through and how that went down. It's very interesting. And in that, he's very open to how vulnerable he was. And it's interesting. So I want to play a little bit of that for you, which is really cool. Oh, really? Actually, really quick. Let me do one last thing on Letitia James. I know this was an interesting. Let's see here. Story. So, Anderson Cooper says. New York Post says. Anderson Cooper says on October the 10th. Letitia James. It was not a great look. He's telling you what I'm telling you. He's smart enough to go. Sorry, the coffee is in the air. A little bit of you know how that goes when you're trying to talk a lot and you're bringing a lot of air. The prosecution of Trump was not a good idea. So Anderson Cooper basically says, I'm not going to play it for you, but he said, we all know this. He says, now that it ended up where it ended up, all the time and the money and the expense, they're now weaker as a party than they were before that. They might as well have just let Trump be Trump. I mean, that's the best. He can do more damage to himself politically than anybody can do to him, because when they continue to attack him, they just make him stronger. So I thought that was interesting. So let's see here. Okay, so let's go to Jimmy Kimmel. So this is an interesting story. So interesting clip. So Jimmy Kimmel, let's see here where we got Jimmy. I'm trying to find the tab here. I got too many tabs. Here we go. Click. Sorry, guys. Too many tabs. I thought I'm just I got to start. Okay, here we go. There's the tab. Okay, sorry. I got look in my background here and find the tabs. This is bad. Here we go. Bad TV. Hold on, let me do it this way. Let me share this one and then let me jump to the right tab. Okay, sorry about that. I apologize. That is my bad, guys. Okay, so Jimmy Kimmel was on Bloomberg on their channel, and they were doing a podcast interview with him with an audience, and he talks about him getting fired or technically suspended. That's really the word, and where that went. And this is interesting. And then he goes on to say that Trump could come on his show, which essentially is an invite. So I'll play a little of this for you because I thought it was really, really interesting. I have it queued up. Hopefully, where's the bar? Oh, here we go.
And it's kind of funny because sometimes you think, oh, this is not a problem, and then it turns into a big problem. And then sometimes it goes the other way where you think like, oh, this is going to be a problem, and nobody really notices.
And that's a real good point. When I can't imagine what goes on every day for his show. That's a lot of work to put that together. You guys think he just walks out and just does some jokes, but no, it's clearly there's implications with everything that he's doing.
So at what point did you realize this was a problem?
I think when they pulled the show off the air.
That's good. He's funny.
That's unusual.
Funny.
Yeah.
See, that's a good
And
line.
what were the conversations with Dana and Bob that led to that?
I hate to disappoint you, but they were really good conversations.
Yeah, I'm not asking for you to blame anyone.
I believe that. I do believe that they called him and said, hey, I'm sure they're all very good friends. They pay him a lot of money. They're all rich and doing their thing. And it's a symbiotic relationship. So I'm sure you have to have a good relationship with your bosses if you're doing this.
I mean, really good conversations. These are people that I've known for a long time and who I like very much, and who were, we all wanted this to work out best. And I will tell you, first of all, I ruined Dana's weekend. It was just nonstop phone calls all weekend. But I don't think the result, which I think turned out to be very positive.
Interesting, right? Doesn't sound like sour grapes to me. I mean, he got restored completely, and he got more popular because now his ratings went through the roof because people wanted to hear what he had to say, and then they wanted to rewatch those clips. And then there was the debate. He became and he's at a presidential debate level. I mean, he's very famous, but he became like a worldwide story.
Would have been as positive if I hadn't talked to Dana as much as I did.
They basically calmed him down and said, you got to chill out. This is way over the line because they don't think you're funny when you're joking about murder.
Because it helped me think everything through, and it helped me just kind of understand where everyone was coming from.
And I think when you get in this bubble, and he's very powerful, right, that you tend to think, well, I'm just going to do what I think is right until something goes wrong.
I can sometimes be reactionary. I can sometimes be aggressive. And
for him to say that, that's a very open, vulnerable thing to say. I tend to be very aggressive, right? It's interesting.
I can sometimes be unpleasant. And I think that
I can sometimes be unpleasant. This is a comedian who is supposed to make you laugh, and, you know, I guess engage you and inform you. But he's even saying, I'm unpleasant, I'm aggressive. So he's saying, I could have made this a lot worse.
It helped me. Really having those days to think about it was helpful.
Okay.
Yeah, when you're at that level of ego and then you lose, everybody took a big L. The Democrats took a big L. He looked like a hater. He looked like he was very insensitive. And to this day, I think he was insensitive. I don't think he cares about Charlie Kirk. He never issued a legitimate apology for what he said. And he never said to them, I'm very sorry. He could have done something like donate money to the foundation he has. He could have done a personal apology to the family, and that would have made him look like a legitimately nice guy. But he's not. He just said, I can be very unpleasant. I'm aggressive. And I'll say this. You don't get to that level unless you are like that in Hollywood. That's a whole other story. But the aggressive, nasty people have to fight their way to the top. That's just the nature of the beast. But he took it too far.
I have a dumb question about this. As someone who was kind of reporting on it in real time, trying to figure out what's happening. So the show goes off the air. You have all these conversations, and when you all made a decision to put the show back on the air, as my understanding at the time was, it still wasn't exactly clear what you were going to say. They still hadn't resolved the issues with the affiliates. So what do you resolve in those conversations to know you're going back if you haven't figured out a lot of the things?
That question was good, but then he messed it all up with this last stuff here. It's a confusing question. He basically was trying to say, did you even know you were coming back? That would have been the question. How did you know? Like, were you in the air? What was your feeling?
That come out of it?
I think just the spirit of what I'm going to say rather than specifically what I was going to say. And I think that's something that we all agreed on. And I think that...
Look at the look on his face. He does not look like he agreed on this. He was made to chill out. Look, he's not happy. He was not happy because he took an L and came crawling back because it's all about the money. He wasn't happy.
Ultimately, I wanted to kind of cover every base if I could.
That means make everybody happy, his bosses, and get all the affiliates back.
And sometimes he can do that, and sometimes he can't do that. And it was something really that...
Is he talking to the third person?
Had to come from inside me. It had to be...
None of that made sense, right? That's why I stopped the answer to break it down to show you he was not happy. And I think now we look back with the affiliates, he came back with less affiliates, right? And then a week later, they all came back on board. They were basically wanted to see if he was going to screw himself up and if he was going to say something completely toxic again and lose his cool. Because he's an aggressive guy. He said it himself. He's unpleasant. He said it himself. And he's a bully. That's the only thing that you put those things together. That's called a bully. And I think that he bullies his way around. He was clearly doing the bidding of his overlords. And there was conservative affiliate stations, rich people richer than him that said, we don't want this. It's bad for business. It's all about business. Okay. So let's jump to, where's this at? Let's jump to, he starts talking about who would he possibly have as a guest on.
People on television too. You don't have to do this. It's
right.
Just I choose to do it.
Since you came back,
he's talking about, the question was, why are you doing this? I mean, he's a very rich man. Why you could have stopped, but why are you doing this? He said, well, because we choose to do it, right? Him and Colbert.
Have you asked Trump or Carr to come on?
No, I haven't. I wouldn't necessarily be interested in Brendan Carr on the show. But yeah, I'd love to have Trump on the show for sure.
So that's an invitation. I mean, the whole world saw it. Trump's going to hear this. And I think Trump will eventually go on. I think that'll be awesome because look at the look in his eye. He is serious and he's a smart guy. This is why he came back. The one thing you got to say about Jimmy Kimmel, he's unpleasant. He said he's aggressive, but he's a smart businessman because he's back. He got everything back. He's stronger, and he now is going to take advantage of it and bring Trump on, which would be unbelievable, right? And Trump would do it for the ratings.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like he knows that he wants. I don't know. All right, I'll ask him.
I'm curious about you had a.
That's funny. And by the way, his shoes, I got to say,
I mean, I feel like.
Yeah, I like the wide shot.
You had a V.
Anyway, I try to go back to his shoes are awesome. By the way, so Jimmy Kimmel, he made me laugh. That should make you laugh. That's look, he's a comedian, he's an entertainer. He survived. He's a smart businessman. But if you're just joining me, Jimmy Kimmel invited Trump to go on the Tonight Show. So that's essentially the invite. Because Trump's going to see it. So and they might be working something on behind, the way he was like kind of hedging. They might be working on something. And the guy asking the question might have said, hey, we heard this is going on. I mean, look, they're all plugged in. Can I bring it up? And they probably said, well, yeah, you can bring it up in a matter of fact way that'll allow me to say it's a possibility. We'd all watch it. It'd be pretty crazy. So there's that. Okay. Wow, we're over. I started 20 minutes late. We're a little over. Let me look at my clock here. Wow, we're over. Okay. Well, let's cover something really fast for the Virginia race and really quick. So the Virginia governor's race was fire. The debate was fire. Winston Merle Sears looked really good as an aggressive attack candidate. She was attacking the vulnerabilities of her opponent that's in the lead. This is her best shot at winning because she was down in the polls. But now this whole killing the children, killing the cops, the Jay Jones thing has turned everything upside down. A better candidate could take advantage of it. But the truth is she's a weak candidate because she's 10 points down. And she's a Republican, a conservative. She has a lot of liabilities. She doesn't go well. She doesn't look good on TV. There's a lot of pictures of her just kind of looking crazy. They're using those so it's going to be a tough thing for her to. It's going to be a tough race for her to pull out. But I want to bring up something that I thought was really. I thought it was, you can watch the clips. She hit her heart. It was great. But she said something that I thought was really problematic, and I'm going to share that right now. Here we go. She's talking about same-sex marriage, and listen to this.
My opponent has previously said that she does not think that gay couples should be allowed to marry. She has said that she is discrimination.
That's discrimination in certain circumstances.
"Quote unquote morally opposed to same-sex."
Okay, so if she's morally opposed to it, that's not necessarily discrimination, but because that's a point of view. I'm just talking about legally. Okay. Yes, that's discrimination if you have those viewpoints. You're discriminating against gay and lesbian, but we're just talking about this is a politician and what she could do legally.
Ms. Marriage. Time for my opponent has also previously said that she thinks it's okay for someone to be fired from their job for being gay. That's discrimination.
Okay, that's discrimination. That's a textbook definition of discrimination. That could end the company. So she's what? I don't know if she meant to say that, but that was one of the dumbest things she could say. So yes, that's a huge gaffe. I don't know if it makes a difference in the race because she needs to really put it together to win. But they're saying she could have got a 5-point bump. We'll see. But yeah, that's really bad. And I wish I had more time, but I'm up against the clock. But yeah, I don't know if she's going to win but it was a great debate performance. I encourage you to watch the clips. Okay, guys, thanks for watching. My name is Jason J. Daniel. It's a great show. This is the Jason J. Daniel Show. Jump to the beginning to learn more about me if you're new. And I would like to ask you to please subscribe, follow on YouTube, share on X, and follow on Rumble. Rumble's popping. If you guys are watching me on Rumble, please subscribe. I thank you so much. God bless you. Go with God. I got to go. Remember, only the facts, no judgment. Take care, guys. I'll see you later. May stream again tonight. Bye.